Hi, this is Monica Bramlett, and in this video we are going to look at strategies for multiplying multi-digit numbers. We're going to focus specifically on 2 digits by 1 digit. So in order to be successful in the area of multi-digit multiplication, we must have conceptual understanding of area, conceptual understanding of the distributive property, fluency of all single-digit multiplication facts, and conceptual understanding of place value, specifically times 10 concepts, are multiplying by multiples of 10. We're going to start off by looking at the problem 12 times 6. When I am looking at a strategy to multiply a number that has 2 digits by 1 digit, I can rely on area models and the distributive property of multiplication. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to decompose the 12 into tens and ones. So 10 plus 2. So I have this this equation right here that says 10 plus 2 times 6. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be distributing the 6 to the time. I'm going to multiply it by 2 and multiply it by 10 to get the product. I'm going to illustrate this through the area model. Okay, so I started off by drawing my area model. I know that my smaller dimension is 6, so I'm going to label the correct side of my rectangle. And I'm going to distribute or break apart the 12 into 10 and 2. So the length of this side is 12. However, I'm going to also decompose my rectangle into 2 smaller rectangles. So first, I'm going to find the area of this section. And I can do that by saying 10 times 6 is 60. Okay, and then next I'm going to multiply the 2 by the 6 to get the area of this section, and that's going to be 12. And then I can add these two together, and I know my product is 72. So let's look at that written out in another way without the area model. What we did was we solved it as 10 plus 2 times 6. So my first step was to expand it into 10 times 6 plus 2 times 6. And I get 60 plus 12, and then I end up with a product of 72. So let's look at this with a different 2-digit by single digit problem. Okay, we're going to use 38 times 7. Okay, now when I'm doing problems like this, I prefer to get an estimate so I can see if my answer is reasonable. So the way I'm going to do this is I typically will put my estimate in a little side cloud. It's like a little thought bubble over here. And I'm going to think, how can I round 38 to a more friendly number? And I know that that's close to 40. Since I have a single digit there, I'm going to leave it as 7. I know that 7 times 4 is 28. In my concept of making it 10 times bigger, I'm going to place a 0 in the ones place. So I have an estimate of the product should be somewhere around 280. Let's look at this on the area model. Okay, so I decompose the 38 into 30 and 8. And then my width here is 7. So as you see, I've decomposed it into 2 smaller rectangles. So first, I am going to multiply 30 and 7. And I know that 7 times 3 is 21, and 21 times 10, because 30 is 10 times bigger, is 210. Okay, and then I'm going to multiply 8 by 7. And 8 by 7 is going to be 56. So when I add these together, I get a total of 266. which is reasonable to my estimate of 280. So let's look at that written out without the area model. So we are expanding 38 into 30 plus 8 and multiplying those values by 7. So I start out with 7 times 30. And then I'm going to add it to the product of 8 times 7. 30 times 7 is 210 because 3 times 7 is 21, and I place my 0 for my times 10 product. 8 times 7 is 56, so together we get a product of 266. Now I would like for you to try this with the following problem. I would like for you to show it through the area model and without the area model as well. Don't forget to estimate. Okay, press pause, and when you're ready to check, press play. So for my estimate, I look at 84, and the nearest 10 to that would be 80. I'm going to keep the single digit the same. 8 times 9 is 72, but 80 is 10 times larger, so I place my 0 and the 1, so I have an estimate of 720. I know that this estimate will be lower than my actual answer because I've rounded 84 down. Okay, so now let's start with our area model. Going to decompose 84 into 80 plus 4. Separate my rectangle into 2 smaller rectangles, and I'm multiplying these by the width of 9. So I start out with 80 times 9, and I get the product of 720. And then we are going to look at 4 times 9, and I get the product of 36. When I add these two together, I get 756, which is reasonable to my estimate considering I rounded 4 groups of 9 down from this problem. Okay, let's look at that without the area model. So this strategy is one that can be referred to as partial products because in both cases you're finding part of the product and adding it together to get the answer. Okay, so let's look at 84 times 9. We're going to rewrite this as 80 plus 4 times 9. We're going to multiply 80 by 9 and add it to the product of 4 and 9. So 80 times 9 is 720. 4 times 9 is 36. And adding these together, I get a product of 756. So in this video, we looked at using area models and the distributive property as a strategy for multiplying 2 digits by 1 digit.